the Browns defense can travel and play anybody, even though they were at home today, but they just got to stay healthy. And then
greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today, our cavalcade of stars, starting off with my favorite team leader, Mike King. Mike, how are you, sir?
Doing pretty well.
Hey, and the Giants are playing, and you're still hanging with us.
I don't have to watch it, so I'm doing this.
Captain for life, Will Cotton. What's going on, Cotton Man?
Doing great. Under the rock, but, I'm doing great.
And our favorite political consultant, Merv Jones, has snuck in with us today, and we're better for it. How are you, Merv?
doing good. Just got a great host of videos from my kids who dropped 20 points a day in their AAU game.
All right. A great way to start. All right. Tune in on Wednesday for our WNBA work. But on today's Top Shelf Tuesday, segment 1, best, worst, and most surprising. Segment 2, we're going to talk about Steve Smith and constructive criticism. And then segment 3, we'll talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only. But I wasn't very entertained today, and part of that is Mike King's fault. But first, best thing you saw today. Will, we'll start with you. What is the best thing you saw today?
Man, we stand what we've been riding, since preseason when we're talking about the Lions. Let's go. 5-1, strong win against Tampa. I know they're a little weak, but man, they're just beating the teams they're supposed to. And Jared Goff is playing very, very well. Very well. So yeah, keep going, Lions. I love it. I love it.
Right. I'd like that too, but we'll talk about that in segment 3. Merv, what's the best thing you saw today?
Oh, the Browns beating the 49ers after they handed the Cowboys their hats. It was one of those things where the bully got punched in the mouth, especially before the game even started. Deebo Samuel got into a whole scuffle with like a running back. And then all of a sudden, Deebo Samuel gets hurt and he doesn't play the whole second half. So,
all right.
And it just proves that the Browns defense can travel and play anybody, even though they were at home today. But they just got to stay healthy and they can pretty much do anything they want.
All right. Mike, what do you got? What was the best thing you saw today?
I was going to go Bengals, but I think I'm going to go Texans.
Okay.
Saints. I'm not a big Saints fan. A lot of people are. Either way, it's a middle to slightly above middle quality win. CJ Stroud, the numbers don't jump off the page, but he's winning. And he's winning with a bunch of guys that no one thought they'd win a lot of games with. They're 3-3. There's AFC, there's going to be some teams that make the playoffs. There's going to be some wild card teams that are just kind of like, because all the teams we thought would be great haven't been great. So maybe they could keep this run going a little bit longer and stay in the picture. That would be kind of a big surprise for me.
Yeah, and their coach came from the 49ers. I'm reminded of that when you said that. Fellas, the best thing I saw today was Miami's composure. Although Carolina's bad, 14-0 is still 14-0 with professionals. And they came back and got the win. And best thing I will see tomorrow are videos of the 72 Dolphins popping champagne. All right, Will, what's the worst thing you saw today?
Merv gonna love this, but the worst thing I saw today was probably Brock Purdy. He's been getting a lot of pub this year. This week talking about getting paid, how he's the perfect quarterback for everybody. And I took a real look at what he's playing, and he is struggling with the second adaptation of his offense, the second iteration, I should say. He's not making – I saw a lot of guys didn't know where they're going. They're running back, running over here, didn't know where they're supposed to be. A lot of confusion, timeouts. He just looked like he's not ready to get to that next step that people are talking about being a franchise quarterback, and it kind of exposed him a little bit. He played bad. He played bad today, bad, and and it was a winnable game. So the worst thing I saw, I'll give it strictly to Brock Purdy. Just couldn't get it done today, and it looked bad.
All right. Merv, what's the worst thing you saw today?
The worst thing I saw today was the Ravens. They were able to squeak it out. it's just odd that this part of the season, quarter two, where they're still having miscommunication on their offense. Receivers aren't used to, scramble drills and trying to catch back shoulder passes because, with Lamar, you just get what you get. And it's not saying he's a bad quarterback, but he's going to improvise more than the average quarterback, hands down. And with, the running back situation being as it is, they were able to squeak it out, but I just don't see them going as far as I thought I was going to see them go this year.
All right, that's fair. Mr. King, what's the worst thing you saw today?
I think it's got to be Jalen Hurts. Brock Purdy's up there, but Jalen Hurts was awful. He was awful. And he's never awful when he plays the Giants. So I was watching this game going, where's this guy? I'd love to see this guy more, but I never get to see this guy. The Jets have no offense. So there's, 2 minutes left. It's 3rd and 9. Just don't throw an interception, punt, and you'll probably win. And he just throws an interception that's like, again, play that I've never seen him make. It was his 3rd interception. Then they get the ball back. It's 4th and 8. Rather than try and get the first down, he throws into double coverage, like 40 yards down the field, a pass that wasn't going to be caught. Part of that's on the route because I put A.J. Brown back there and not Devontae Smith, who's a little bit smaller, but it's a bad performance.
All right. Speaking of bad performances, the worst thing I saw today was Desmond Ridder. I actually watched the Commanders play Atlanta, and without asking for much, I wasn't looking for, anything in particular, but he really didn't look very good. And Atlanta's got a couple of weapons. Mm-hmm. they got the kid from Florida who's a stud. They got a running back, and you just had this guy throwing willy-nilly like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. So, all right. Will, what's the most surprising thing you saw today?
There's a couple different things that people could have went. Obviously, the Browns, or you could have went with the Jets. But surprising for me, I'm going back with Lamar. The offense does not look like it's conducive. I mean, they were on the red zone, and he's scrambling. They're not even giving the ball to the running back. It's just ugly the way they're winning. And then they're winning like Pee-wee football. Like they just lob it up. It's not conducive to win long term. I'm just surprising that it wasn't a bigger loss. Like Tennessee was in the game and they had their starting quarterback go out the game. Malik Willis came in and they still had an option to, and they still had the opportunity to win. I think Ravens are all smoke, man. I don't think they're no kind of fire. And that was surprising of them. They couldn't really beat down Tennessee because they're not a good team.
All right, Merv, what's the most surprising thing you saw today?
The most surprising thing that I saw was the Colts still putting up a fight without their starting quarterback and the injuries that they have, and then the running back who's knocking the rust off. For them to be competing with going back and forth with dual quarterbacks and not sure what was going to happen with Jonathan Taylor until he got his big deal, they're scrappy. They may have lost, but they're staying in it, and they're making that AFC competitive.
All right, Mr. King, surprise. What happened? What's the most surprising thing?
I'm in the Raven game, but I'm thinking something else. Justin Tucker had 6 field goals. It's amazing what happens when you take the points early, and then at the end of the game, you don't have to do stupid things, and you could just kick field goals your way to wins. Like, think of John Harbaugh, the one who cost me my survivor pick. Like, that guy would have went for it. They wouldn't have got it. Then all of a sudden, they're scrambling at the end of the game. Now they're like, hey, we get this field goal. We're up 2 scores. Let's do that with the greatest kicker who's ever lived. It was just fun. I was joking with my friends after the second field goal. I sent a text. It was like, I think that's Justin Tucker's career high. And then he got to 6. I mean, that was the biggest surprise of the season.
Oh, the level of petty. I love this dude. All right. So for me, PJ. First of all, the fact that PJ Walker got dusted off the shelf, he's played for a multitude of teams. You root for guys like that. So not only was I surprised that the 49ers lost, I didn't want to tough the spread and other than that. When your West Coast team comes East Coast, all of that stuff. But I don't like rooting for guys who, kind of cast off, similar to Geno Smith. So, PJ Walker, and congratulations on the victory. And why aren't y'all playing Deshaun when he's healthy? Is there something more that I need to know about? Merv, you don't have to say anything. But when we get back, I want to talk about professionalism versus personal. Did Steve Smith cross the line? We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
The high school and college academic and athletic landscape is changing. The growing number of college transfers, as well as student athletes being able to profit off the use of their name, image, and likeness, has given student athletes the freedom and power to make life-changing decisions. That is why it is important for student athletes to be properly informed throughout the decision-making process. The difference between success and failure is often measured not by yards, but by inches, and even the most successful coaches and players use outside independent consultants to help improve their decision-making, which improves their results. That is what the CKA Save Project would like to do for student athletes across the country, improve their academic and athletic results. Our academic and athletic consulting services assist student athletes with the college decision-making process. The CKA team of former high school and college coaches can provide student athletes an independent assessment of their academic and athletic skills to assist student athletes in their college decision-making process. Let the CKA team evaluate your academic and athletic ability to assist you in finding the right fit for your academic and athletic career. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free virtual consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast in segment 2. Professional or personal, did Steve Smith cross the line? So fans, let me tell you, if you don't know, Steve Smith has the 8th most receiving yards in NFL history after a 16-year career with the Carolina Panthers and the Baltimore Ravens. He is one of only 4 players since the merger in 1970 to lead the NFL in catches, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns in the same season. And the other people in that club are Jerry Rice, Sterling Sharp, and Cooper Kupp. Okay. On his podcast, Cut to It, he recently called current Denver Broncos wide receiver Jerry Jeudy a jag, which means just another guy. On the air Thursday night, during the pregame show, ahead of the Broncos playing Kansas City, Steve Smith attempted to apologize for that comment. However, Jerry Jeudy, let's just say, wasn't feeling that, and we'll leave that there. Steve Smith then cut a hellacious promo where he basically said if anybody called about him, he's going to say don't trade for him because he is unable to mentally handle constructive criticism. Jerry Jeudy walked past Steve Smith and the rest of the network coverage and yelled a few explicitives and so forth. So I'm going to start with Mr. King because he's my hero with stuff like this. What did you think about Steve Smith's comments? Is that professional, personal? What are your thoughts?
So just a guy isn't constructive criticism. It's just criticism. You're not saying you need to get better in this, this isn't like teacher giving feedback on paper. This is saying you suck. Here you go. You suck. So that's part one. Part two, Steve Smith's number 8 all-time in yards, but he's number 1 all-time in trash talk. This is Steve Smith. He's the best with this kind of stuff. People aren't going to be happy with this. So yeah, he tried to apologize, I guess, but before he could, Judy's like, yeah, I'm not talking to you, which is fine because that's one way to respond to someone who is criticizing you. It's a nothing, it's a nothing story until Steve Smith then doesn't take the criticism and starts whining on the sideline and then taking this to another level. I'm going to tell all these teams. I mean, you're working for the network for the pregame. You gotta up that. This isn't like First Take or Skip Bayless stupid show. This is supposed to be here's the game. So that's the part of it that sports to me is becoming too much of, I think Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, their fingerprints are kind of ruining our sports world, where I want to hear actual stuff, not nonsense. That's me though.
Will, as my former player who's been a part of a few dust ups, what did you think about it?
Steve Smith, they hired him for his candid. You know what I'm saying? He's very candid about what he says. So for him to say that, that's exactly what the NFL wanted him to say. I think Jerry Jeudy has to have that. He has to mature. One, he's not playing very well. Two, a great response would have been like, hey, Steve Smith is one of my favorite wide receivers. I love he's even talking about me. I'm glad he even knows my name. This is great. But this is a generational kind of thing where, 20-year-olds don't know how to do stuff like that anymore. They don't know how to work the game. I have no problem with Steve. I mean, Steve is coming with facts. I think a little unfair is that there are a lot of quarterback coddling. Instead of going to Jerry Jeudy, why don't you go to bum Russell Wilson, who's been playing terrible for all last 2 years? And the year before they even got Russell, they got I forgot the quarterback for Denver. He was terrible.
Is that Drew Lock or am I on the wrong team?
Don't matter. Bum trash. It don't matter what their name is. It's both bums. But where's all this coddling for quarterbacks? I mean, Zach Wilson is playing just as bad, and Steve Smith said it, and he said he's terrible. And nobody was like, oh, you can't say that about quarterbacks, but it's okay for him to talk about Jeudy. So he called a spade what his spade is. They're both bad. Steve Smith could say he has the accolades that he could say what he needed to. It's not like he's a bum, not like Justin Blackmon or somebody who ain't. He's one of the best receivers to ever get on that field to talk about another receiver. It's totally fair. Jerry Jeudy has to mature and understand it's just criticism, and we're all going to get it. So fair or not fair, but it is what it is.
All right, Merv, I've been waiting for this, sir. Share your thoughts, my friend.
This is the epitome of the new age athlete being very thin-skinned. Hands down, point blank. If you're coming into the league or into a new profession and you're trying to get tips, you don't talk shit to people who've been doing it for 20 years, 30 years, and who are successful. You ask for tutelage. Because we can see Jerry Jeudy is very talented. He has speed. He has a decent frame. He's not super short. Imagine if Steve Smith had the same height and measurements as Jerry Jeudy, how much better he'd be. Only thing he can do from Steve Smith is learn the game better and say, hey, you got to be thicker skinned, man, because that's the first thing he's going to tell him. Jerry's been in the league for 5 minutes and hasn't busted a grape. He hasn't made it to a Pro Bowl. I don't even think he got Rookie of the Year, whatever, Offensive Player of the Week. You're just in a bad space, and you just got to sit there and wallow with it. Your offensive line is trash. Your quarterback is lost and seeing ghosts. And your head coach / offensive coordinator wants things done like he has Michael Thomas and Drew Brees back there. It just doesn't happen. So when it comes to Jerry Jeudy, he just needs to man up and just say, hey, you're coming to talk to me. It wasn't aggressive. Let me take my pride out of it and let you apologize, and we can figure out a way to squash this. And I can learn from you. That's all he really needs to be saying right now.
Okay. Well, Jerry Jeudy on the season prior to this game that they played or didn't play has 17 catches for 208 yards this season. So I'm going to let that speak for my answer. And when we get back, we'll talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only on the Odd Coaches Podcast.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA Save Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of attaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 3, we're going to talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only. But first, fellas, we're going to see if you got a top 5. Mr. King, do you have a top 5 this week after the ridiculous poor play from all the top teams?
Jeez, I guess 40. I'd still go 49ers. I'm not going in any order because I can't.
No order.
This is a hard week. 49ers, Eagles, Dolphins, Chiefs. And after they win today by 70, I guess I'll say Bills.
Okay. Will, what about you, man? You got a top 5 ready?
Man, my top 5 is still going to be the Dolphins. The Dolphins are the best team right now. The Dolphins are the best. Right after them, I'm putting the Chiefs because I don't know how they're winning with just Mahomes and you, me, and Mike King. That's what he's got. You know what I'm saying?
Killing it.
Killing it. I think I like San Fran still. I think their loss was a little bit more muddled than it is like got outplayed. I should say that. I think the fourth team. I'm sorry, Philly just played terrible. I mean, all those weapons. Everyone's healthy. You know, you're going against the Jets who are wheeling. You know what I'm saying? And they got beat handily. You know what I'm saying? And then I think fifth man creeping up. Right there, Lions, baby, 5-1. So those are my 5 for me, man.
All right, Merv, what about you, sir?
I will have the copycat Mr. King wholeheartedly. But to what Will was saying, quietly the Chiefs have some good receivers. You just haven't heard of them. Ross, he's a 6'4" body who can run. As long as Kelsey stays healthy and those carousel of running backs are around, they'll be fine. What's the shocking thing about the Chiefs is their defense has stepped up so much from last year to this year.
But Merv, isn't Travis a little distracted with his social life?
I mean, he had 121 yards last week. He can't be that distracted.
All right, I'm going to move on from that. I'm not getting to that mud hole. All right. Season-long bets: Steelers 3-2, Jags. I'm liking it. 4-2, almost at the halfway point. The Jets got their second win. I wasn't expecting that one.
Third, I think.
Is it 2 or 3? No, it is 3. Thank you, Mike, because I didn't hit refresh. So the Jets are 3-3. Wow. Yes, the Jets. Chargers, Green Bay didn't play this week. They're on a bye. Carolina's 0-6. The Commanders are 3-3 as well, and Seattle lost. So let's get to my poor picks. So last week, Mike said this week's going to be pretty bad, and Mike was absolutely positively correct. I went 1-4 this week after a nice little run, and I'm 15-15 on the season. I did have Detroit -3. That was my only win this week. I had the Commanders over 42.5, as you see in segment 1. I was a little disappointed that Desmond Ridder couldn't get the end zone just to give me the over. That's all I wanted. Give me the over. Okay, my 2 play. Thanks, Merv, because I do want to thank you. New Orleans under 42.5. New Orleans and the under has been a pretty good pick, but Seattle couldn't put any buckets up. And my 3 play this week: San Francisco lost. Miami was down 14, but Carolina's terrible, and Philly played like hot garbage. And my upset, I was stupid enough to think Chicago could put 2 games together, and I am incorrect. Okay, I am 100% incorrect. Will, did you do anything strictly for entertainment purposes only this week?
Yeah, I did some anytime touchdowns, man. The boy Mostert came through always. Tyreek Hill always came through. Unfortunately, Bijan Robinson did not hit pay dirt. Alvin Kamara is still kind of work his way into the system and things was going on. I think they want to figure out how they want to use him. But yeah, I didn't really hit too many on the the anytime touchdown I did. So
You didn't do Christian McCaffrey?
No, I didn't. I did. I added him.
Okay.
And I had Derrick Henry. But the one that missed me was Kamara, who just couldn't get in the end zone. But and Bijan Robinson. I thought he was totally going to score. But
Mike, did you do anything strictly for entertainment purposes only?
No, not this week.
And Merv, what about you, sir?
All my money was on the Browns. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Nice.
He just had to go ahead and just beat the Kingmaker, and I said, if there's going to be anybody to do it, it's going to be the Browns with that defense. So we got lucky.
I ain't mad at you. All right, so for week 7, we've got a bunch of teams on bye. Cincinnati will be on a bye. Dallas, Tennessee, Jets, Carolina, they need 2 weeks off, and Houston. All right, Thursday, you got Jacksonville versus New Orleans. I will probably take the under on that one. And next Sunday, I'm still not overly enthused. You've got Chicago and Las Vegas, Buffalo and New England. New England's really bad, man. And Belichick, Robert Kraft could care less about you, buddy. You might leave with your own recognizances. Washington against the Giants and Detroit against Baltimore. Merv, is there anything you're looking forward to in next week's games? Because I'm underwhelmed again.
The one game that will provide some fireworks doesn't mean it's going to be like a blowout, but I feel like it's going to have some fireworks. It's going to be the Chargers and the Chiefs.
Okay, all right.
You got stables of wide receivers on both ends, and you got pretty decent defenses.
Okay, and the Chargers they paid that boy, so he's supposed to do something. Will anything catch your eye for next week?
Obviously, Dolphins play the Eagles, which is going to be, super packed. Merv already said, Chiefs, Chargers, always going to be a division kind of thing. But there's one that I kind of looked at that was kind of noticed my eye, that took my eye. The Lions go to Baltimore. And if you remember last year, the Lions almost beat them. And Justin Tucker hit like a NFL history kick field goal from like 63 yards or 64 that hit the crossbar and went in. I know the Lions are looking for that comeback. They're hungry. And I know Lamar wants to show better when he played today. So it's going to be an exciting game, I think, Lions-Ravens.
All right. And Mike, you've got the Commanders and the Giants. Is that going to hold your interest, or is it something else?
Something else. I think this week's better than you think. Dolphins Eagles that's a good game any week. Lions Ravens, that's a good game any week.
Okay.
I like Chiefs Chargers, again, good game any week. But Thursday night, Jaguars at Saints, two kind of like up and coming a little bit teams like that. Yeah. For Thursday night game, that's actually pretty good. So any week you get 4 games. For me, at least 4 games that kind of like, I'd watch that. Not bad.
All right.
Oh, and you also have Falcons play the Bucks. Both are 3-something. They should, for the division. I mean, again, they're playing for the division, coach. That's what we're talking about. Who's coming out the South?
Yeah,
this is a good game.
Just get into the postseason and let it happen. That's the Miami Heat rule. Okay. All right. So on behalf of our cavalcade of stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and/or watching the iCoaches podcast. And we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The iCoaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The iCoaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the iCoaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.